members of the administration, judges, parents, guests, faculty, and of course, students, to the 30th annual Benoit Salisbury Senior Oratorical Contest. The Senior Oratorical Contest is one of our school's most important events, and it has been an honor for Mr. David Thibodeau and me to be part of this extraordinary competition. And it is indeed a competition. The rules, however, are pretty straightforward. Seniors choose from among 5 general topics, and their speech must be between 3 to 5 minutes in length. Mrs. Smith and Mr. Stone will act as our timekeepers. They will hold up a green card at 3 minutes, a green card at 4 minutes, and a red card at 5 minutes. Students will be penalized for going under or over the time limit. The scores are based on language use and delivery, organization, preparation, and content. The difficult task of scoring the individual speeches is left to our distinguished panel of judges. They are Mrs. Virginia Harnois, Smithfield School Committee, Mrs. Sarah Monaco, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Thomas Hines, former English teacher and class of 1973, Mrs. Fran Harris, former kindergarten teacher from Anna McCabe School, Ms. Susan Barron, lecturer, Department of Communications at Bryant University, and Mr. Robert Salisbury, former teacher, guidance counselor, vice principal, principal, member of the school committee, and co-founder of this competition. The students do not know the order in which they will be called, and I will ask you to not applaud as they are introduced and walking to the stage. After the speech, of course, show them your appreciation. Speaking in public is one of the most feared things a person can do. So it is indeed a very courageous thing that these people you see seated behind me are doing, especially in front of a group of their own peers. I know that you will give them your undivided attention, the courtesy and the respect that they so deserve. And so now I will ask this year's participants in the Benoit Salisbury Senior Oratorical Contest to please stand and proceed to the chorus room. Let's give them a round of applause. As I said, they do not know the order. Mr. Hurley is back there along with Ms. Khaleesi, and they will escort the participants to the stage. Okay? And so, as I said, please, again, in order to keep this fair, we would ask you not to applaud as the individuals are proceeding to the podium. And I hope that, as underclassmen, that you're inspired by what you're about to hear, and that hopefully when you are seniors, you would like to participate in this event as well. And now our first contestant, Ms. Desiree Perez. Please hold your applause. Thank you.
A soda bottle can only handle so much pressure before it explodes. It could take 2 to 3 minutes of shaking until it erupts. For me, it was 3 years, and on May 10th, 2017, my body decided to explode. To give you a better understanding of why my body decided to explode, I'm going to give you the events that led up to it. Freshman and sophomore year, I endured incredibly harsh bullying. I came to school with armor on because I knew that I would go into battle with the painful words of my classmates. Whether it may be something as, I'm going to buy you some Lysol so your people clean houses better, to as hurtful as, all of your family members probably work at Taco Bell. Junior year was no better. The bullying got just as worse, and instead of one person doing it, it was a group of girls. I was constantly advised to ignore the comments and to not let them hurt me. I can stand here and say that I did not care what words were said to me, but I would be lying to you. I could not stand here and say that I didn't cry every day because the fear of going to school ate me alive. I could barely look at my phone without having an anxiety attack because the chance of being told to kill myself for the 1,000th time would have me attempting for my third. Cold tears are rolling down my face as I grab a bottle of pain reliever. I pour the tiny capsules into my shaking hands. I was ready to kill myself. In my head, it is worth it, because the idea that I would come to school and be called a border hopper, spick, or monkey left me gasping to breathe. The pressure my body was letting go of started in math class when all of a sudden I just began jerking uncontrollably. My dad decided to rush me to the hospital. I'm immediately brought into the ER, rushed by wheelchair, body still jerking. The nurses' worrisome eyes were looking at me like I was some porcelain doll. Their burning, shaking hands touching my cold skin as they went to run my vitals. Lying there in the uncomfortable hospital bed, I could smell the doctor's fear. The fact that he blurted out, "If you would have come any later, you could have died," gave me the insight of how serious this was and how seriously scared he was. My sister's big brown eyes expressed her secrets. I knew her exact thoughts. I began to lie to her, telling her everything is going to be okay. I'm lying to her because I need to believe that everything will be okay, that I'm going to be okay. The horrible jerking moments have finally come to stop. I was so happy, but in that same moment, I went into a 20-minute non-epileptic seizure. I was completely conscious throughout the entire episode and endured any and all pain. The following day, doctors had no explanation and advised that I go home, rest, and that hopefully the seizures will die down in a few days. I soon enough found myself in the hospital bed again, yet this time I was completely paralyzed and completely conscious. Whenever someone touched me, it was like a torch burning my skin. These symptoms led my doctor to determine that I suffer from conversion disorder. In medical terms, functional neurological disorders is when trauma and stress turn into physical symptoms. I have symptoms such as seizures, paralysis, tics, and even my speech can be affected. I want to be completely honest with you, my life is not put together. It's actually quite the roller coaster. I worry whether I'm going to have another seizure in front of my classmates, or if I'm going to hear another person saying, "I'm doing this all for attention." I worry about whether suicidal thoughts are going to get the better of me and I will attempt again. Every day is a current reminder of what I'm currently dealing with. But every day is a reminder that I'm strong, a reminder that I am not some mental illness and nor do I own it. Statements such as "my conversion disorder" are not true, because it is not me. No, who I am is joyful, comedic, and a caring girl who always has a smile on her face. A girl who will not let an illness define who she is, even if she's standing here fighting symptoms. Why am I telling you all this? Well, it's because I want you to understand that you are not an illness or harsh words. You are not depression, anxiety, OCD, or PTSD. Nor are you ugly, stupid, or annoying. You are you. You are beautiful or handsome, funny and kind, joyful and loved. Do not be a soda bottle. You are so precious and you matter.
Our next speaker is Megan Mitchell.
Social awkwardness, feeling nervous or uncomfortable in social situations, much like I am right now. Entering high school, I was socially awkward. Despite having a small group of friends, my unpolished social skills continued to plague me throughout my freshman year, making me an easy target for rude comments and snide remarks. Not knowing what to say, not knowing what to do, I would freeze up. How do you talk to someone, let alone stick up for yourself, when it feels like you're from a different planet? My friends couldn't always be around to stand up for me. and it's because of this awkwardness I end up making a huge mistake. Freshman year, I met someone, we'll call her Candace, in my algebra class. After discovering we were the only two ninth graders in the class, we started talking. Everything was great. I had a new friend and someone to joke around with during class. When I found out she also didn't have many friends, I sympathized and introduced her to my own close-knit group. Candace was super nice, quickly becoming mutual friends with the others. As time went on, however, there were signs something was off about Candace, but I was too naive to notice. Too naive to recognize that someone smashing their smartphone down with their fist, shattering the screen, all because they got a text they did not like, is not normal. When she did that, I didn't know how to react, so I just laughed uncomfortably. A part of me told me something was very wrong, but another part of me told me to let it go. Then there was the time she would not wait for my ride and left me alone at 11 o'clock at night in front of the movie theater. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Why did I not distance myself from her? Well, I didn't have many friends. I didn't know any better. I thought she was just going through a rough patch, so I clung on, hoping everything would be okay. But things just kept getting worse. And every time she did a horrible thing, I forgave her. Every day I came to school pretending I was happy, pretending everything was okay, and that I was content with the way I was being treated. But I wasn't. I did not want to be alone again, so I allowed myself to be treated like garbage. Allowed my already fragile self-image to be dragged into the mud in exchange for letting me live this fantasy a little longer. So what can you learn from my experience to help you not make the same mistake I made? People talk about abusive romantic relationships, but they forget to talk about abusive friendships, which can be just as damaging. Never allow someone to ruin your school day, school week, or school year and make you feel terrible. They are not your friend. They are toxic. Unfortunately, you're always going to come across negative people in your life, but keeping them out of your life is what's important. My first piece of advice is try to talk it out first. Try telling your friends how you feel. If Candace was my friend, she wouldn't have tried to alienate me from my true friends. Friends help each other, not hurt each other. Next, take baby steps. Be more wary of people when you first meet them. I'm not saying to trust no one, however, I am saying you should be more cautious when you meet new people. Sometimes being alone and having no friends is better than feeling terrible and having fake friends. After breaking away, I did have second thoughts. I didn't think I was strong enough to face the lonely days up ahead. But if I can summon forth the tiniest sliver of strength to keep going, then I know you can too. With a toxic person holding me back, I was not able to make new friends, real friends, friends who actually care about me. The famous author S.C. Hinton once said, "If you have 2 friends in your lifetime, you're lucky. If you have 1 good friend, you're more than lucky." Today, I can say I am more than lucky to have a person in my life who doesn't care if I come to school dressed as Elmo, calms me down when I'm lost driving in the middle of Smithfield, and gives me confidence to share some of my more interesting ideas. Today, I cherish this friend because for a long time, I was a loner. I know high school is scary, and no one wants to go through this alone. But how are you going to find your diamond of a friend if you settle for coal?
Our next speaker is Ms. Mikaya DeGrassa.
Dear Mom, I don't know how you did it. Life threw so many obstacles at you, but you made it through every one of them. Losing your parents at the age of 6, going through an abusive relationship, and raising Desmond and me all on your own. I know it could not have been easy, and I can't imagine a life so challenging. You were so young when you lost both of your parents to domestic violence and needed to be strong for your younger siblings. You were always strong, even from the beginning. Unfortunately, years later, domestic violence once again entered your life with my father. I never knew that someone could be so violent, so angry. There are a few times I remember witnessing your pain, feeling guilty that I could not be there for you as you cried and told me to go to another room. At the time, I didn't understand what was happening. Why was Dad hurting you? Why was everyone yelling? And why can't he just calm down? I didn't realize until much later in life that my father suffered from alcoholism. When he drank, it didn't matter what happened because anything could set him off. However, this is not an excuse for the way he treated you. My father made a conscious decision to drink, even though he knew it hurt our family. There were so many nights when he would lash out and leave, and one day he just didn't come back. I am not going to lie. Life without a dad was pretty tough on me, but you always seemed to make it better. You did everything in your power to keep Desmond and me happy, even if that meant you had to be 2 parents instead of 1. Although Dad had left, it didn't stop him from popping in and out of my life. There were so many times when he wouldn't show up to weekend visits, dance recitals, or special moments in my life. Time after time, when he let me down, you were right there to pick your baby girl up. You brought me laughter through all my tears and joy through all my pain. When I could not understand why my dad didn't want me, you showed me that I was loved. You helped me understand that whatever my dad did, it had nothing to do with me, and that I could not do anything to change him. I was always reminded of the love you had for me, and I knew that it would never change. I will forever be thankful for the unconditional happiness you provided me through such rough times. I know that being a single parent of 2 was extremely hard. Our family did have hardships, but you managed to get us through anything. I only know of our struggles now because as I got older, you explained them to me. But as a child, I had no idea. You made every day special, and I never had any fears. I cherish all the mother-daughter moments we shared, and I will forever remember them. The little things like going out for ice cream, watching a movie at home, and even grocery shopping meant the world to me. Any time spent with you became some of my favorite memories. It was during these times that I realized how amazing you are and how much you love me. In my eyes, you were, and still are, my hero. I aspire to be just like you when I grow up and start a family. You exemplify all the qualities of not only a great mother, but an amazing person. You are strong, beautiful, independent, and an exceptional woman. There is no one else I want as a mother, and I am so lucky to have you in my life. You showed me how to be strong and encouraged me to succeed every day with the same 6 words. Be your best, do your best. These words have motivated me to do great things in life, and I honestly would not be the woman I am today without you and your support. You truly are an inspiration to me, and I know I don't say it enough, but thank you. Thank you for never giving up even though you had so many reasons to want to. Thank you for spending endless nights holding me as I cried in your arms. Thank you for pushing me to do my best and always helping me succeed. And lastly, thank you for being the mother I needed when the dad I wanted never came. I love you.
Our next speaker is Ryan Lane.
I just arrived home after a long day at school, ready to relax, when I got a text message from my mom. It said, "Call me. We need to talk." I immediately panicked. Did I do something wrong? Did I get in trouble at school? Is someone in my family sick? I hesitantly dial her number and greet her with an anxious, "Hello?" "Oh, hi, Ryan. How was your day?" "I'm going grocery shopping. Do you need anything special?" I realized that my anxiety was completely unfounded, all because of an ambiguous text. In my lifetime, technology has completely changed how we all communicate. We all have the ability to connect with people across the globe, but we ignore the people right in front of us. Phones evolved from indestructible Nokia bricks to switchblade-inspired flip phones, to glass screens with more processing power than the first space shuttles. These technological advancements have led to some truly miraculous things. Cures for diseases, an instant connection to 911, millions of songs available whenever you want them. But have these improvements made us less human? This so-called social media couldn't be more misleading when our phones are unlocked and our doors slammed shut. Advertised as new communities, companions, and worldwide inclusion, it only serves to separate and prompt social corrosion. We're encouraged to show the best parts of our lives, to leave out the emotions, to portray a joyful facade, editing and exaggerating what is deemed most admirable. This digital culture creates an illusion where people say they care, but we shy away from what we feel for fear of being judged. Typed words cannot accurately convey a person's feelings. Humans are naturally engineered to read tone, body language, facial features, and eye contact. But these skills just waste away when we only communicate through a screen. The complexity of how we feel, the nuances between anger and stress, all sound the same when condensed to pixels on a screen. We live for experiences, the opportunities to make new memories, try new things, feel genuine excitement. The happiest of times can come from shared experiences, a family trip, dinner with friends, watching the big game on TV. But would it feel the same if you have nothing to share? No pictures, no videos, nothing for Snapchat or Instagram, just a good time to remember and a story to tell? Instead of finding satisfaction in the number of likes you get, learn to cherish the time spent unchanged from your device. We no longer communicate with each other over a cup of coffee or sitting next to each other on the bus. All it takes is one tap on an app and you're taken away, instantly connected, but further apart. As each day passes, we lose the satisfaction to engage directly with other people, searching for the constant stimulation, becoming technology addicts. If I asked one of you what kind of phone your friend has, I guarantee you would answer correctly. But what if I asked about their eye color or height? A person's possession has become more recognizable than their physical characteristics. Instead, breathe in your surroundings and try to look up. When that void in your pocket is filled by a face-to-face conversation, face-to-face connection, there is no better thrill. Find light in a person's smile, not in the cold blue glow of a display. It is time that we live for ourselves and not our digital presence. Thank you.
Our next participant is Mr. Thomas Fresno.
Good morning, fellow students, teachers, administrators, guests, and judges. My name is Thomas Fresno, and I am here today to speak to you about someone who has forever impacted my life. And that person is my older sister, Alyssa. There are a lot of differences between my sister and me. For starters, she is 28 and I'm 17. She has finished her doctorate and I haven't even finished high school. She owns a car and I just started driving. However, the most noticeable difference is that although I'm 6'2", she's barely 5 feet. Despite our height and age differences, I've always looked up to her. She has been someone I have trusted and admired ever since I could remember. I would always hear about her accomplishments in school and in sports, and being so proud of the fact that she's related to me. We have always been inseparable from one another, and have always loved doing the same things together. One of those things is watching our favorite TV shows, Parks and Rec and The Office. To be honest, we have probably watched The Office too many times. We quote it constantly and annoy our family with how often we watch it. I love this Office so much that it was the only sketch I did in fashion show. Whenever we both have a bad day, Alyssa and I will watch The Office. More specifically, Scott's Tots episode, where Michael promises an entire class of elementary kids free college tuition. One of my favorite memories I have shared with Alyssa is going to the restaurant Yamato. We started going every time something great would happen, whether I got an A on an exam, got an award, or did well in sports. Over time, we kept going, but would go without celebrating anything. We had sort of developed an obsession with hibachi restaurants. Also, I would like to point out this speech is not sponsored by Yamato. One of the most special memories I have of Alyssa is the time I went to see her at her graduation. She was receiving her Master of Business degree from Johnson & Wales and was selected to present the student speech to the entire graduating class. Although she was nervous to speak in front of over 2,000 people, all she was focused on was doing the best job she could. When it was her turn to give her speech, I was so inspired that someone I was so close to my entire life was capable of speaking in such a captivating way. The speech she gave was amazing, but I thought there's no way I could ever be able to do something like that. But here I am today, speaking to you because my sister supports and inspires me. What I have learned from my sister, Alyssa, is that with knowledge, drive, and determination, you can do anything you set your mind to. Just as I'm speaking in front of you today, I feel that I am becoming more like my sister. She has taught me that even though you don't possess a skill at first, it doesn't mean that you can't work hard to accomplish it. I'm learning that with practice, you can overcome challenges you never knew before. Today, Alyssa works at Bristol Community College after getting her doctorate in educational leadership. She's an academic coordinator and helps to place kids in classes that they're interested in. At her job, she has been able to help others to succeed in their future life goals. As I am speaking in front of all of you today, I'm sure you are wondering, why did I choose my sister to write about? Not a parent or a close adult. It's because she is someone that I truly look up to. She has done so much for me and has inspired me to be who I am today. I feel without her, I would not have been able to achieve as much as I have thus far. I have known her my entire life, but because she demonstrates the ability to achieve what she sets her mind to, I feel like there is still so much more I can learn from her. Whether it be in her education, where she has received her doctorate, or in her future career goals, I feel that Alyssa can always help me to achieve the most that I can. She will continue to inspire me when I move to college and pursue my educational and career goals. Everyone should have a sister like Alyssa. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kadra Powers.
What do you want to be when you grow up? Most of us have been asked this question from a young age. A lot of children say they want to be a doctor or a race car driver. At the end of the day, you can be whatever you want. If you want to be a ninja, a surgeon, a poet, or a circus performer, then go for it. The possibilities are endless when we are young and naive. Lots of little girls respond to what they want to be when they grow up with a ballerina, a princess, or a teacher. I knew this little girl once that only dreamed of being a mother when she grew up. One time, on an early morning at the bus stop, this little girl is approached by a female classmate. The girl looks her up and down at least 3 times in absolute disgust. She taunts her about the stains on her shirt. It is visible that she had been wearing the same shirt for the past few days. She asks, "Didn't you wear that shirt yesterday?" "You must have, because I remember you spilled mustard on it at lunch and the stain is still there." In embarrassment, the young girl replies with a simple no, while zipping up her coat to hide the stains. She holds back the tears. This addiction has taken over her whole life. She is unable to wear clean clothes, smile like a child, or simply function in this world because of the chronic presence of her addiction. When she comes home, the house is gloomy and congested with smoke. With every inhale she takes, the addiction clings to her lungs, suffocating every breath. Everywhere she goes, her addiction follows her. There is no escaping this. All she wants is to soften the deafening echoes of her stomach, of her head, of her life. This little girl became an addict at 9 years old, addicted to uncertainty, humiliation, and abandonment. This was all she ever knew, so how could she escape it? This addiction continued to haunt her into her teens after hearing words no child should ever have to hear. You are the reason I can't follow my dreams. You are the cause for the divorce. You are a disgrace to this family. Have you ever heard the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? Yeah, well, that's not true. Words do hurt. Words are painful. Words allowed this little girl to become numb because she knew there would never be a recovery from this addiction. So think again. What does this little girl want to be when she grows up? A mother? I knew this little girl extremely well. This little girl was me. Let's focus on the word was. In 72 hours, I will be 1 year free of my addiction, free of the pain and heartache that haunted most of my life. I always thought I had no control because my own mother was my addiction. It has been the most difficult part of my life, breaking free from my mother. Yet I knew what I needed to become a strong and independent young woman. I became me, not that little girl anymore. I realized everything is in my control. It's in all of you. You can make your own path in life. This is your life. You have the ability to make your own decisions. Do not let any addictions control you. Any addictions. Whether they be drugs, a boyfriend, food, social media, or even an unfit parent. And you know what? Thank your mother. Be kind to your mother. It's not an easy job and not everyone can do it. To be a mother, one must have parenting, cooking, and organizational skills. A mother should have the ability to care for and look after others. But more importantly, a mother must have unconditional love and support for her child. When a young girl grows up, she looks to her mother as if she knows the answers to everything. I didn't have that. So to me, sometimes my mother was a teacher, a doctor, a therapist, my dad, or even my best friend. There is no such thing as a perfect mother, just like there is no such thing as a perfect child. Because everyone makes mistakes, right? We all have flaws, and as we go through life, we learn to accept people for who they are. I've accepted that none of the things that girl experienced were her fault. I've accepted me. And perhaps, most importantly, I know what I deserve. And I will continue to persevere every step of the way because I know I deserve it. You all deserve it. So let me ask this simple question once more. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Our next participant is Ms. Nicole Dudere.
How do you view the challenges of life? What is your perspective? Some define perspective as having a particular opinion, while others may see it as the way to look at a three-dimensional object. Take a book, for example. If I showed you the cover, you would see one view of the book. If I turned it and showed you just the spine, your view of the book would change. Then, I may open the book, and you would see it from another perspective. Sometimes, we are so fixated on one perspective that we are not open to the possibility of viewing it another way. There is more than one way to look at a book, so there must be more than one way to look at an obstacle. If I were to fill a glass halfway with water, I would ask myself, how do I see this? Is it half full or half empty? Two people can look at the exact same thing, but see something completely different. An optimistic person would see the glass as half full, but a pessimist would interpret the glass as half empty. There isn't a wrong answer to this question. It is just simply what your perspective is on the glass of water. Just like the book, the object itself doesn't change, but the angle at which you see it does change. A famous quote by Abraham Lincoln says, "We can complain that rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. One may look at the rose bush and only see the thorns. Another person may be able to see beyond the thorns and focus on the beautiful red flowers. Let's look at it this way. The thorns may be our obstacles in life, but the roses are the opportunities that those obstacles present. There will always be the good balanced with the bad. Are you going to let the thorns get in the way of the flowers? Can you look behind the thorns and see the good hiding there, waiting to be discovered? As I mentioned earlier, perspective can be defined in many unique ways. Today, I chose to define perspective as a book, as a glass of water, and a thorn bush with roses. We live to constantly redefine our perspective. In every situation, we decide how we are going to see it. Life is an endless sum of challenges. How you view each one will determine how you progress through them. Are you going to just look at one aspect of the problem? Or are you willing to open up your eyes to all the different sides? Are you going to be stuck in the thorns? Or will you look behind them and see the good that lies beneath? The world changes when we change our perspective. Everything is either an opportunity to grow or an obstacle to keep you from growing. Remember, this is your life. You get to choose. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Matthew Laboissonniere.
High school is nothing but cliques and stereotypes. It may sound harsh, but it's true. Everyone has their designated place. Everyone walks to class with the same people. Everyone does everything the only way they've ever known it, including me. And sometimes when this happens, you find yourself living in this little bubble that surrounds you. What am I talking about? The comfort zone. Ah, yes, the comfort zone. This is where you can act the way everybody expects you to and things will run smoothly. Everybody loves the comfort zone, including me. But to all my underclassmen friends, if you take one piece of advice from this speech, take this one. Find the courage to break out of your comfort zone. It is not an easy thing to do. Take my experience, for example. When I entered high school, I was doing what I'd always been doing. And I told myself that this is exactly who I was going to be and nothing was going to change. That was my stereotype, my comfort zone. And I know a lot of you listening may be thinking to yourself, that kind of sounds like me. But your stereotype is not a life sentence. If you want to join the choir, do it. If you want to play a sport, do it. There's always room to broaden your horizons. And this year, I finally decided to do that. So I joined the school's production of Fiddler on the Roof. Doing this was a huge step for me, but it was something I wanted to do for a long time. I told myself I was too busy and not friendly enough with members of the department. I doubted myself. It would have been easier to stay in my comfort zone, but I'm so glad I didn't. Joining this production was one of the best decisions I have ever made. Everybody was so nice and welcoming, and I never felt left out for a second. And trust me, I was extremely nervous from the start, and for a very long time. When you are standing next to kids with incredible voices and acting skills, it is intimidating. I had never acted before, never sang in front of people, never danced in front of people. But that is no reason to steer away. It is completely normal to have insecurities and to feel afraid. That's what makes trying new things exciting. When you stay in your comfort zone, you can predict the ending, but why would you want to? Creating new challenges for yourself is something you should constantly be doing. Take singing, for example. Now, I would not call myself an amazing singer, but I got by. Most people could not see me doing something like this, but I did. You can write a new chapter for yourself, even if you thought you were done writing the book. And if you want to branch out, but do not know where to start, I suggest theater. It is truly a life-changing experience. Things can get very hectic and stressful in life. If you are ever feeling sad or even depressed, it can sometimes really help to play somebody else for a couple hours and get away from the stresses of high school life. Theater gives you confidence, makes you feel you can literally do anything. One of my biggest personal improvements through high school was my public speaking. Theater was a huge catalyst in this development. And it's not just the club, it's the people. The sense of unity that exists within the drama department is truly breathtaking. I have made friends I would have never made. I have talked to people I would have never talked to before. Expanding your horizons is good for anybody, and making more friends is never a bad thing. I have many people to thank for helping me grow, but one person I cannot thank enough is Miss Young. I cannot count how many times I would walk into rehearsal and see her with a huge smile on her face. A smile you really can't imagine unless you have seen it yourself. I want to thank her personally for all the confidence she had in me. I was a senior trying theater for the first time, and she made that transition as easy as possible. I never felt out of place, out of sync. I felt like I belonged. She helped me develop as an actor, a singer, and a person. Life is too short to stay in your bubble. Eventually, you are going to have to pop it. I remember being a freshman and hearing people say the same thing to me, but now I know it's true. If I could go back, I would do the show every year. Unfortunately, there's no reset button. There's no time machine. So today, my main reason for speaking is to pass my message on to you. Never be afraid to try new things. Take it from a kid who could never see himself dancing with a bottle on his head in front of hundreds of people. Never doubt yourself. You may feel scared or nervous, but that should be extra motivation to really go after it. Step away from your stereotype, your comfort zone. Theater changed my life. Not one day goes by where I don't think about the production and the experiences I had. And that is a feeling everybody should have. Thank you.
And now, Mr. Denlin Liu.
The lunch bell rang. With a spinning head and a pounding heart, I walked into the cafeteria, trying to take a deep breath. I slowly moved across the room, scanning around the tables, desperately trying to catch a friendly face. Memories of my freshman year had become blurred, and yet I could recall the scene from my very first day at Smithfield High School. Even though I became more familiar with the high school and my surrounding classmates, I felt even more vulnerable and lonely. Why was I the only kid in school who had never heard of Dunkin' Donuts and Netflix? Why did I have the black eyes instead of the fancy blue ones? Why did I have to carry this heavy Chinese accent when I spoke English? Why did it take me 3 hours to read the passage that would only take everyone else 30 minutes? Why did I have to be the different one? I had so many questions, trying to understand the world around me and decipher the best solution to living in this foreign land. And then more terrifying question, how much of my own identity did I have to compromise to conform to this environment? The anguish of not being able to communicate in English dissolved on its own with time. After all, I was spending 6 hours every day in the school. I began to volunteer for the Confucius Institute at Bryant University. And through those events, not only have I learned much more about the Western culture, but also gained a deeper understanding of my own roots. I feel pride and warmth when I introduce our calligraphy, porcelain, and ancient architecture to curious visitors. I finally became aware that being bicultural is not a frustrating burden, but a gifted privilege. After struggling with my own identity for 3 years, I have learned to celebrate that. For some family reason, I was trying to graduate in 3 years. I was so busy completing coursework that I hardly did anything outside the classes. In last April, I was facing the choice between getting the diploma and staying at Smithfield for another year. I chose to stay because I felt there was something missing in my high school career. That there were still so many things that I hadn't done and that I wanted so badly to do. The point is, Many moments in our life happen too fast, and we often don't appreciate them until they're gone. Time does fly by, and you don't get to go back. And yet, when you do look back, you'll be surprised how far you've come, and be thankful for everything that has happened along the way. Everything. A good test score can boost your confidence, but it's that low grade and work even harder than before. A friend can cheer you up when you feel low, but it's the opponents and rivals that push you to become a better and stronger person. Nevertheless, there are always going to be regrets. I wanted to go to Brown University. I didn't get in. I wanted to play varsity tennis, but I almost didn't make the team. I wanted to speak English without any accent, but I didn't grow up this way. After all, you can't expect perfection in everything. In fact, you don't have to equate imperfection with failure, because this extra step from success might just be another layer of beauty. The most important thing is to give your best and enjoy the process regardless of the outcome. Senior year. We say this is the most memorable year, but it doesn't mean you should reserve all the memories for this year. Why not try something new right now? Why wait until you have no time left? 3.5 years ago, I could barely speak this language. And last month, I took part in the school play with some of the most beautiful souls I've ever met. So go ahead and step out of your comfort zones. Join the music department, even if you have never stepped into a chorus room. Try out for a new sport if you have been a person into music. You might hesitate because your friends aren't doing this, but go ahead anyway. You'll make some discoveries. You'll meet more people. Too often, we appreciate time enough only when there isn't any time left for us. So don't wait to do something exciting until you're leaving high school for good. So here I am, giving this advice for you. But really, I don't have any specific advice at all. Just be yourself. Embrace every uniqueness that you own, and enjoy every moment that you spend with your people. There's no normality in this world. Everyone is different in their own way. You don't have to conform to anything and chase the popularity. You are beautiful the way you are. Thank you.
Speaking before an audience of your peers, especially one of this size, is quite difficult. So please join me in again congratulating all of today's senior speakers. As the tabulators finish their calculations, Mrs. Dempsey and I would like to thank the following people on behalf of our senior speakers. The members of the administration, faculty, and staff supporting this contest throughout its rich 30-year history. The music department, the maintenance team, and our technical crew. Mrs. Smith and Mr. Stone, our timekeepers this morning. The members of the math department, for again acting as our score tabulators. Our escorts, Ms. Gleason and Mr. Hurley. The Student Council for their generous donation of the awards that will be presented on Senior Honors Night. Our 8 coaches, Mrs. Armstrong, Mr. Cabral, Ms. Gleason, Mrs. Carty, Mrs. Daniels, Mrs. Pereira, Mrs. Pimentel, and Ms. Roderick. And of course, our 6 judges. Thank you to all of them. I will now ask our friends, Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Salisbury, to join us on stage to help present the winners.
A story is told about a young boy who desperately needed a part-time job on weekends. When lo and behold, he picked up the newspaper one Wednesday, and an ad read, "Wanted, high school boy to work at the local theater. Report Saturday morning, 9 o'clock in person, to meet with Mr. Jones, office of the theater manager." He was elated. He was excited. He got up Saturday morning, showered, shaved, put on his best tie, and off to the theater he went. He didn't get there at 9 o'clock. He got there at 7:45, an hour and a quarter ahead of time, only to learn that he was 21st in line. You see, 20 other kids had the same idea as he. And he thought to himself, what am I going to do to get noticed? Certainly Mr. Jones isn't going to interview 20 people for this rinky-dink job. So he had an idea. He reached in his back pocket, he picked out a piece of paper, he wrote down a note, took the note up to the front of the line, and he gave it to the young lady sitting there. He said, "Would you please take this note into Mr. Jones?" She did. Mr. Jones read the note, and the kid got the job. What did he write on that piece of paper that would have attracted the theater manager? He wrote, "Dear Mr. Jones, I'm out in front of the theater. I'm 21st in line. Please don't hire anybody until you get to meet me." He didn't say he was the best one for the job. He didn't have to. That positive self-esteem, that self-assuredness, that self-confidence projected itself so strongly to Mr. Jones that he later admitted, "I couldn't think of one other kid except that kid that was 21st in line." Anybody that thinks that much of himself is the guy I'm looking for this job. You see, all successful employers are seeking men and women, boys and girls, that'll go the extra mile. Boys and girls who exude that self-assuredness. Boys and girls that'll step out of their comfort zone, like two of our speakers talked about this morning. And when they find that person, they can't wait to unload some of the duties of the job upon him. And you know how you get that self-assuredness? You know how you get that confidence? By doing exactly what was suggested up here this morning. Taking a risk. Stepping out of your comfort zone. Overcoming the fear of glossophobia. Fear of public speaking. And every time you do it, you advance. Opportunities like this are available, but opportunities can and they will expire. Your educational clock is ticking. Take advantage of the Smithfield High School activities and think about what you'd like to do in the next 1, 2, or 3 years. Get out of your comfort zone. Because like this, those who use words effectively will become leaders in their generation. I guarantee you. My congratulations to the 9 this morning who became leaders at Smithfield High School. My congratulations to the 9 mentors who Mr. Thibodeau mentioned for your coaching. And a special congratulations to that group that each year sits up the back on the right-hand side, the parents, the grandparents, the uncles, the aunts, the brothers and sisters, for encouraging your child to step out of the comfort zone, to try something different. Thank you very much.
I'd just like to say thank you very much, Mr. Salisbury, for all your contributions to the ongoing Sentinel legacy, a theme that we've discussed all year. And before we get to the awarding of the placing, I want to give expressive thanks to Madame Dempsey and Mr. Thibodeau for their work in sustaining this unbelievable tradition of the faculty. And now to our winners. The third place finisher in the Benoit Salisbury Senior Oratorical Contest is Ganglin Liu. Our second place finisher, Miss Cager Powers. And lastly, our first place winner of the 2018 Benoit Salisbury Senior Oratorical Contest, Mr. Matthew Labassi.
Let's go, Matt!
Again, congratulations to all of our participants for contributing to the ongoing legacy here. And thank you for your attention and participation in this unbelievable event.